Good to see you. This is Global News Morning, and it's good to see Matt Lee. He is here with his weekly visit, and we're talking winterizing your home, specifically outdoor areas and the gardens, with the reason being by the spring when the snow melts, it's going to look good and it's going to be great for showing.
Yeah, that's right. You know, we always see that the spring market starts in March-ish, you know, so we want it to look good even if things aren't even blooming yet, you know, so it's like we go through these steps, and even doing these steps will make the house, it'll make the grass thicker next year, it'll make the gardens look really good, and it's, you know, it's pride of ownership. It looks good.
Now's the best time to do it.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, and we start by, you know, cutting all the perennials down, getting everything out of the garden, weeding the garden, and then basically raking the leaves. So like you're gonna have your brown bags. And actually I saw an alert that if you look at the Kingston app, it'll show you when the brush day is, which then you can set everything out. And I think it's this week actually. So if you take a look at it, you can get all of that cleaned up, get it out to the road, and then go from there with the lawn.
You said remove weeds, cut the grass, very important. Fertilize too.
Yeah, so aeration and fertilizer, doing both of those at the same time. So like fertilize, so if you aerate your lawn, like you have there's actually companies that come around, they'll knock on your door. I mean, so it's one of these things that if they're right there and they have the machine, there's a potential of doing that. There's also renting an aerator yourself and having that done. So you're punching small holes that are probably only about an inch deep and throughout the lawn. And what that does is when you start to put on your topsoil, you're top dressing it, and then you're putting fertilizer on, and then you're seeding it, all of this is starting to sit dormant. We see that the grass has really stopped growing. Everything sits there, but it's actually soaking in. So when it's time for spring, you know, and it's going to take off, it's already soaked in, it's ready to go, and it's going to go bang, and it's going to take off with everything else.
Your yard's going to be the nicest yard on the street.
It's going to be very thick. You're going to be cutting grass, but I mean, it's going to look really good. So it's awesome. So I think that having all of these steps along the way will make your yard and your gardens look excellent for the spring.
Cover plant beds.
So a couple years ago, we actually had a really bad frost where I actually noticed in the spring that we saw that evergreen trees, there were spots where they got burnt, like cold burnt. So like they died from just from it being so cold. Like we have temperatures that will go to -30, -35, and to the heat of minus or plus 30, you know, so we range big time. When you get down to that bottom, and if it's frozen or it's wind or whatever, it will potentially wreck your bushes. So I would say that if you took burlap and you wrap them, then you will save that. That'll stop that initial freeze from coming in and the wind from burning it. So it would be best to do that to save it.
Any home rental store would carry this?
Yeah, absolutely. You just go and get the burlap rolls, and it's easy.
And just wrap them.
Yep, absolutely.
For those that are fortunate enough to have a pool, very important.
So two things here. One is about closing the pool. I know that a lot of people close their own pools. If you're thinking of selling in the spring, or you're thinking about selling before that pool potentially is open, I suggest that you have a professional company do it. And I know that people know how to close their own pools and that they've been doing it for so many years, but the buyer doesn't know the seller, you know, and it's one of these things that they understand that they've been closing it for years, but what if there was one time that something didn't go right? So my feeling is that if you pay that money to have that closed by a professional company, then you know that you've got that receipt in hand, so that you know you can sell in March, you can sell in February, and people feel comfortable because then they can go back to that company and say, you closed this, what happened here? You know, so there's something behind that. So my suggestion is close the pool, have it done exactly the way you would normally do it, but have a professional do it this year if you're thinking of selling in the spring.
You have that receipt.
Yeah, absolutely.
Parting words, Matt.
Well, you know, I think that fall is here and we just have to enjoy it. So I think that's the next step.
Because you know what's happening.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So snow's coming.
Get out the shovels.
Yeah.
Snow blowers.
Yeah.
Yep. Thank you so much, Matt Lee.
You bet.
Real estate tips brought to you by Matt Lee of Royal LePage.